President Obama, we need some explaining from you about your view of anti-Semitism. This past week, Reverend Farrakhan, whom you helped organize his Million Man March and attended, said the following about Jews: that there's an undeniable record of Jewish anti-black behavior, starting with the horrors of the slave trade, plantation slavery, Jim Crow, and then he ended his letter with a threat: should you choose to make our struggle to civilize our people more difficult, I respectfully warn you, the more you fight and oppose me rather than help me lift my people from the degraded state, Allah and the Messiah will bring you and your people to disgrace and ruin and destroy your power and influence here in the world. Now, of course, that's vicious anti-Semitism nonsense and deliberately threatening. Basically, he's saying that unless American Jews cooperate with whatever scheme of helping his movements he has in mind, usually money, Jews everywhere will be endangered. It's veiled, violent call against Jews. Now, his charges are completely absurd. The slave trade that brought Africans to America and change was largely Muslim. And slavery of black African continues in some Muslim states to this day. While black African Christians and animists who have been murdered by the hundreds of thousands by Muslims in Muslim-majority Sudan. Jews were in the majority in establishing the NAACP. Some 90% of the money from NAACP came from Jews. Major grants to black colleges from Jewish donors. Jews have been at the forefront of hiring African Americans. The truth is the opposite of Farrakhan's lies. Jews have been among the best friends in the African American community, and many African Americans understand that. So Farrakhan continues to lie, and of course he's in cahoots with Obama's Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who recently said at the University of Chicago this past week, I'm speaking now in the beginning of July 2010, that Jews control the flow of worldwide information, oppress blacks in Israel and in the United States. The only blacks who were ever liberated from the continent of Africa and freedom were Ethiopian Jews going to Israel. I mean, finally, Wright stood up for Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, who made anti-Semitic and anti-white comments. He criticized black leaders for cutting and ducking the mention of Farrakhan's name. And Obama, who sat in the pews and listened to Jeremiah Wright for 26 years, and in a speech disavowing Wright in Philadelphia, he said, "Not once in my conversations have I ever heard him talk about any ethnic group in derogatory terms or treat whites with whom he interacted with anything but courtesy and respect." I mean, that's like somebody saying that they were with Hitler and he never said anything against Jews. It's just not believable, Mr. President. And where are you to repudiate these two men who've made such outrageous and slanderous lies? And then you appoint this lady, Hannah Rosenthal, this ultra-leftist, supposedly to do her job on anti-Semitism, and the only thing about Jews she's ever mentioned is to attack the ambassador to Israel, from Israel to the United States, Oren, because he's not leftist enough. Meanwhile, all of her talks have been about worrying about Islamophobia. So make her the representative to stop Islamophobia and point somebody who can actually work on anti-Semitism, because anti-Semitism is increasing all over the world. The incidents doubled in 2009 in Canada, Great Britain, France, and other European countries. They're steadily mounting, largely because of Muslims, and of course not all Muslims, but Muslim immigrants in those countries. And the person you picked to be the point person in anti-Semitism is saying nothing about any of this, and all she keeps talking about is stopping Islamophobia. What gives, Mr. President? Please explain. We need you to denounce Farrakhan's outrageous lies, to even though you supposedly rejected Wright, that he was your minister for 26 years, you claim you never heard him say anything derogatory. And here at the University of Chicago, right in your neighborhood where you spend all that time, he makes that outrageous libel against Jews. And then the person you pick to deal with anti-Semitism deals only with Islamophobia. It's like you appointing the head of NASA to deal with making nice to the Muslims instead of dealing with space. What gives, Mr. President?